Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter W welcoming you to yet another Cutter Top 10, and we're taking a look at the top 10 World Cup nations of all time. I tried to get a list of the top 10 countries, like the like 1970 Brazil, like top 10 teams, like 1970 Brazil and 1990 West Germany and all that, but I just couldn't get the great research. So let's take a look at the top 10 World Cup nations of all time. Now, of course, many countries you won't see are the United States, and it's not because of bias, because the Americans have not really done as great on the field as the European countries and a lot of South American countries and all that. So none of the top 10 are from North America, not even Mexico. Africa gets shut out, even though like Morocco and Ghana will probably be getting there soon. Asia got shut out because Japan, even though they've been to every World Cup since 1998, like they haven't really shown too much, and Australia doesn't count, unfortunately. So anyway, let's take a look at the top 10 World Cup nations. Number 10 is Portugal, land of opportunity. If you are in the Kitchener Waterloo Cambridge area, because of the Portuguese community in Toronto, well, also in Toronto, but Portugal's great. They have had a combination of recent success and the influence of global superstars. So Portugal have not done well in the World Cup. Their best World Cup finish was third in 1966. That was the tournament in which Eusebio basically took the team on his back, especially in the quarterfinals against North Korea, who shocked the world as they took out Italy and gave the Italian fans something to despise. When the Italian team left, got to the airport, they threw Rotten Tomatoes at them. But yeah, Portugal took out North Korea. People forget that North Korea was up 3-0 at the time, and Portugal came back with 5 straight goals, and Eusebio scored 4 of them. Eusebio led them for third place. You know, the World Cup has a third place game, and they beat the Soviets, if memory serves me right. But yeah, they did. That was their best finish and all that. They did win Euro 2016, but that's a different tournament. And they are the Euro Nations League champions currently in 2025. Nothing against Portugal, although I had a massive hatred for Portugal because of CR7's wink that ruined England in 2006. For 12 years, I had this deep rooted hatred. And then once England did better than Portugal in the World Cup, I changed my spots. Nevertheless, 2006 they had a deep run, of course, taking on England with Rooney. Rooney should have gotten a yellow card definitely for his illegal tackle, but CR7 basically forced red on Rooney and lost out, and Beckham didn't even take part in the penalty kicks, and England fell flat. Portugal fell 1-0 to France, and then they fell flat against Germany in the third place game. But they have great pedigree. Luis Figo and Cristiano Ronaldo are great players and all that. So yeah, they deserve what they get, technical skills. And number 9 is Holland, aka the Netherlands. Holland has the most runner-up finishes without winning a title. 3 of them in 1974, 1978, and 2010. The Dutch were not really the great team they seemed to be before 1974 when they decided to do the total football revolution of Cruyff and Rinus Michels because, you know, Ajax won 3 straight European club championships. And it worked out. In 74, they were total football with the Cruyff turn and all that. Unfortunately, though, West Germany took them out at home in the World Cup and all that to do some nice work. 1978, they were just as good, although Cruyff retired from international football. People thought that he retired because he was worried about Argentina as a country. Nevertheless, the Dutch got to the finals, would take on Argentina, then the host, and again they would fall. And in 2010, they had a great run to the finals to face Spain, but Spain beat them 1-0 in extra time. The Dutch had some world class talents: Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp. Everyone remembers the Dennis Bergkamp radio call. Dennis Bergkamp, Dennis Bergkamp, Dennis Bergkamp, Frank de Boer, Dennis Bergkamp in 1998 to sink the Argentines and Iron Robin. Total football philosophy. They've been pretty good in later stages of tournaments when they did qualify. Haha. Number 8 is Espagne, aka Spain. They had a golden era. From 1964 in Euro till 2008 when they went Euro, they were basically known as overachievers or underachievers, whatever you want to call it. But in 2010, they had their historic World Cup victory. They basically did well and became one of the few teams in history to lose their first match of the World Cup and yet still win the title. Argentina in 2022 comes to mind because they lost their first game to Saudi Arabia. And of course, they won back to back Euros 2008 2012. They had the tiki taka style by quick passing and technical mastery helped modern football. With Iker Casillas in the net, Andres Iniesta, Xavi, and David Villa filling the nets. It was huge in Spain's dominance and all that. You know, they changed the tactical landscape of global football in the 2010s and all that. Spain has won Euro in 2024, angrily, of course, over England with me because they beat England. But Spain, underrated, not so much anymore. Number 7 is England. England, 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 England. It's coming home. It's coming home. Football's never coming home. 3 lines on my shirt. Jewels remain gleaming. Why the hell can't we win? That is so insulting. Sorry, as an England fan, I'm so used to disappointment and all that. At least Scotland's not on the list because those famous words in Scotland that will never be heard. Scotland going to the World Cup knockout stages. Although the expanded tournament 2026 will help them out this time. Whoa. Nevertheless, England is the home of football, aka soccer, of course, and won the World Cup on home soil in 1966. Although this is coming from an England fan, it was kind of dodgy, I must admit, because of the officiating chaos in the semis and the quarters, and of course Jeff Hurst's goal that wasn't really in. And I'm an Englishman, so anyway, Bobby Charlton, Jeff Hurst, Bobby Moore led the charge in 1966 when they took out West Germany. West Germany was not favored much in England because World War II still to this day still stung. So yeah, and of course 2010 when England played Germany and Lampard thought he scored the tying goal. It was miles over the line, but no, it wasn't. They didn't count it. I don't know why. But anyway, subsequent tournaments have yielded heartbreak and near misses. I've done a video on how England is at the World Cup. Uh, Most heartbreaking? Well, 1982, they didn't lose a game, but they went out on points. 86, Maradona's hand of God goal. 1990, the semis against Germany, Gaza's tears. 2002, when David Seaman just couldn't leap up and got that Ronaldinho shot. 2006, losing to Portugal in that fucking wink. And 2018, losing to Croatia in extra time in the semifinals. So anyway, iconic players: Charlton, Moore, Lineker. The guy who scored all those goals, had the most goals and tied the most goals in English history with Sir Bobby Charlton before Mr. Rooney broke it. Harry Kane's been a big part of it. Number 6 is Uruguay, who were dominant back in the early days. They won the first World Cup in 1930 and then the first World Cup post World War II in 1950. Of course, that 1950 tournament was huge because it was in Brazil. Brazil, all they needed was a point to clinch the final against Uruguay. They went with a group stage in the final for the final 4 teams instead of semis and finals. Uruguay won 2-1 and Chiquia and Scafino's goal. Basically, Scafino became the third person to silence the massive Maracana Stadium. Frank Sinatra and the Pope were the other two. Uruguay punched above their weight. They had great determination, technical skill. Unfortunately, their determination in 1986 was huge because they purposely ruined Scotland's chances to advance to the knockout stages by kicking and punching them and getting the fastest red card ever. But never mind, Chiquia Ferreira. And then recently, they've been decent since 2010. Diego Forlan and Luis Suarez are decent players when Suarez isn't biting people. Oh, but yeah, they've won 2 World Cup titles. They were the first, they were the second nation to 2 World Cups to Italy, who will be later on this list. Number 5 is Francia, aka France. The Renaissance was huge and all that. France were decently placed, but by 1982 they seemed to be better. They thought they were going to go to the finals, but West Germany screwed them over. 86, their technical skill lost to Brazil. I think it was lost to Brazil, but anyway, yeah. 1990 they didn't even qualify. Did they not qualify in 1990? I don't remember. I know they didn't qualify in 94 because that was a choke job, needing 1 point out of the last two qualifying games to qualify, and they didn't. And Bulgaria got it on them. Uh, they did win the World Cup on home turf in 1998. Sisu with his great job. Zidane taking down Brazil with Ronaldo's epileptic fits. And then choking in 2002, not scoring one goal in their group stage and losing to Senegal and Papa Bouba Diop. Deschamps and Zidane led them in 98. 2006, we all know about the stupid headbutt Zidane did. Although he was provoked by Materazzi, he could have taken matters in his own hands and even slapped him. And then he probably would have got a yellow card instead of red. Nevertheless, France had some heartbreak, but by 2018 they dazzled with Mbappe and Griezmann, the youngsters, and the youngsters helped France win the World Cup over Croatia. They almost went back to back in 2022, but they fell to Argentina, and it was one of the greatest, if not the greatest, World Cup final game of all time in 2022 because you had dueling hat tricks and a penalty shootout. And speaking of Argentina, that's who number 4 is. L'Argentina with 3 World Cup titles. Anyway, passion, genius, pure magic. They were champs in 78, although it was a little bit archie-barchie because of the junta at the time. And allegedly bribing Peru to tank so that Argentina would get into the finals instead of Brazil in their match against the Dutch. The Peruvian goalie was Argentinian born, just saying. Anyway, 1986, The Hand of God by Maradona. Although his second goal was genius, I'll admit that. His first goal was not. And Argentina beat Germany in the final 3-2. And then Argentina went through some bad luck. Messi was looking for his World Cup trophy, if you will. Everyone wanted him to get it, and he did it in 2022. Despite losing to Saudi Arabia in the first game, they came roaring back. And all that. Messi had his leadership, and they won the title in 2022. And, won 3 titles. Number 3 is Italia. Italy is known for their tactical brilliance and defensive mastery. The Catenaccio system. Of course, I can't pronounce things right. So yeah, they went from the robust defense style to a more attacking style. They have won 4 World Cups in their lifetime. 34, 38, 82, and 06. Although 34 and 38 were controversial because of the whole Mussolini-led fascist government. 1982 was a massive story, especially for Paolo Rossi because he was banned for 2 years for fixing matches. And people questioned why he was on the 82 World Cup squad. But Enzo Bersot saw something that nobody did. And they beat Brazil. Like, it was one of the great World Cup group stage games of all time. Italy, Brazil in 1982, in which Paolo Rossi's hat trick sunk Brazil in the World Cup. And some say the 82 Brazilian squad was better than the 1970 Brazilian squad that won the World Cup. As if. Never mind, Paolo Rossi got his magical story in 1982 and they won the title. Roberto Baggio had his artistry in 94. If it wasn't for Baggio, Italy would have been screwed over, especially against Nigeria in the quarterfinals. But yeah, Baggio put the team on his back and led them to the final against Brazil. Penalty kicks, he misses his, and people blamed him for everything, especially him being Buddhist in a Roman Catholic country. Italy then won in 2006, despite the fact that Serie A was going through a massive scandal, a gambling scandal that ruined Juventus and a few other Italian super clubs. But yeah, Buffon as goalie and captain led Italy well in 2006. They took out France, and of course, Zidane with his headbutt ruining everything. But Italy could adapt, thrive under pressure, and produce world class defenders and goalies, made them a perennial threat. 4 World Cup titles, legendary defenders such as Baresi, Maldini, and Cannavaro can't be denied. Number 2 is Deutschland, aka Germany. They won 4 World Cups. and all that. Now the strange thing is they've only won one World Cup as Germany, the other three by as West Germany because World War II split the country between West Germany and East Germany, and even Saarland for a while. But yet, when they won in 54, 74, and 90, they were all West Germany. Even though the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, Germany was not completely reunified until 1991. Nevertheless, Deutschland got 4 titles. 54, they shocked a lot of people. After Hungary crushed Germany in group stage play, although Germany kind of rested their players, if you will, Germany got to the final, and guess who? It was the magical Magyars of Hungary in 1954. Down 2-0, they scored what was called the Miracle of Bern, winning the game 3-2 and ruining Hungary's golden generation. In 1974, hosting the tournament, they did win the World Cup despite losing 1-0 to East Germany. A lot of people said that was on purpose because it gave West Germany an easier path to the final. I wouldn't doubt that. But anyway, Germany fell behind to Holland 1-0 on a penalty, but then they scored a penalty of their own, and then they scored a goal before halftime, winning the game 2-1 and ruining total football. And then Germany in 1990, played great game and all that, and beat England in the semis, and then in the final against Argentina, Andres Brema came to the penalty spot, kicked the winning penalty. Well, it was in regulation, and unfortunately, RIP Andres Brema because he died last year. And actually, as I am taping this, another member of the 1990 West Germany squad just died. His name was Frank Mill, although he was the fourth choice striker. But yeah, nevertheless, in 2014, Germany was looking big and all that. And their semifinal win against Brazil was famous for demolishing them 7-1. And the Brazilians were the home country and never seemed to lose by a big margin. But Germany made it seem like, well, there's a first time for everything. That was one of the most shocking things ever was when Germany took care of Brazil 7-1. I remember working at Target and I watched the first half before I had to go to work and it was 5-0 Germany. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, Brazil was unorganized. And I think with the whole thing that they lost, crap. Who's the captain who got booted, got red carded and had to miss the semifinals? Well, they missed their captain and they couldn't play without Neymar because he got hurt by Uruguayan tactics. Or was it Colombian tactics? Can't remember. But yeah, Germany crushed them 7-1, scoring 5 goals in the first 29 minutes of play. They did beat Argentina in the final on a late goal by Götze, 14th minute, I think it was. But anyway, they had legends like Fritz Beckenbauer, Gerd Muller, Miro Klose, and Lothar Matthäus. And they're a powerhouse. They've been to the finals 8 times, the most in history, with 4 titles and consistently getting the semis. However, number one with 5 World Cups is Brasilia, who have appeared in every World Cup. They've qualified every World Cup. Germany, Holland, Italy, even England can't hold a candle to Brazil's thing that they've appeared in every World Cup. Although it must be said that Germany probably would have been to every World Cup if it wasn't for having to travel to Uruguay and 1950 being booted because of their World War II antics. Nevertheless, Brazil, 5 World Cup titles 58, 62, 70, 94, and 2002. 58 with a young 17-year-old by the name of Pele who dazzled, especially in the final against Sweden, the home country. 1962 winning it in Chile, in their home continent, again in Chile against Czechoslovakia. 1966, they were looking for the three-peat, but basically Portugal and Hungary hacked Pele, if you will, and ruined Brazilian spirits. But the 1970 squad is cited as the greatest team ever assembled, with Pele, Carlos Alberto, Jairzinho, and Tostado doing their job. And they did it. Total football worked and all that, giving Pele a massive international send-off with his 3rd World Cup title, with that World Cup in Mexico against Italy, winning 4-1, including the 4th goal, the team goal that was scored by Carlos Alberto. Well, they had Zico, Romario, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, and Neymar. Made huge and all that. 1994, Brazil used their offensive talents and defense to go to the World Cup final, take care of Italy in the penalty shootout. Should have had it in 98, but unfortunately Ronaldo's fit ruined them. And in 2002, Brazil got their redemption song by getting to the final against Germany and winning 2-0 as Ronaldo made up for that crappy 98 finals appearance with his appearance in the 2002 championship. And it was just pure magic and all that. The fact of the matter is that Brazil's got some hops and all that. Yeah, 2014 they got demolished 7-1 by Germany, but basically they asked for it, unfortunately. And you know that the country went bankrupt and went broke because of the World Cup and the 2016 Olympics in Rio. But nevertheless, Brazil's still number one. I mean, come on, 5 titles? Really? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.